Welcome to another episode of Positive Solutions for Life. This is Peggy Meyer. Today's guest is Bishop Foreman. Bishop Foreman is known as the People's Bishop. He is the founder and chancellor of Harvest Bible College, a Renaissance man, an influential pastor, successful church planter, bishop, success coach, in-demand speaker, author, philanthropist, and entrepreneur. Oh my gosh, so many hats. This is this is wonderful. Woo! And
Right.
then he also has pioneered Fit Harvest to promote healthy living and God's desire for us to walk in his shalom, where nothing is missing, nothing is lacking, nothing is broken, and all is well. So welcome to the podcast, Bishop Foreman.
Listen, so glad to be here with you. Thank you so much for this conversation. And just thank you for what you do. As I was sharing with you, I love the whole concept, positive solutions for life. There's tons of solutions, but sometimes they're not always positive. And a solution doesn't necessarily mean you deal with the issue. So I love the concept of what you do from the inside out. That's what I'm all about. And so I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Oh, same here, same here. And can you start our conversation by just sharing it with the listeners just a little bit more about you, your journey, and how to
Yes.
start to where you are today?
Yes. Well, the joke is I came out of my mom's room with a Bible and a briefcase. I just had this affinity towards spirituality and success in business. Those two things were just always innate for me as a child until now. And they really have guided how I've lived my life, the decisions I've made, the things that I've done. I really live my life from this place. And it's literally written in my, was Evernote, now it's just my Apple Note, that I exist to change lives and that it's always a green light unless it's a red light to give myself permission to not live how most tend to live, which is with one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, so that all of the resistance is actually internal. And I had to teach myself to do that. And frankly, I'm constantly teaching myself to do that because I live life as a student. I grew up. I was born in Denver, raised in Memphis, Tennessee, and dealt with a lot of what accompanies the inner city
Mhm.
areas. At one point, immediately post slavery in America, it was that area I grew up in with Orange Mound was one of the many what they referred to as Black Wall Street. So it was an area of entrepreneurship, industrialism, high economic growth and activity. And just through the years, as often happens with those areas, through policy and whatever reason, there's the decline. And so I saw that. So I saw a lot of things around me that weren't good. I saw drugs, I saw gangs, I saw choices that didn't lead to better lives. And so I had to make a choice. And that's where that Bible and briefcase come in hand. I said, I'm beholding this, but I don't have to become this. And so
Mhm.
I made some choices early on in life. I was just different. I was
Mhm.
the kind of kid in school who wanted to be the teacher's friend instead of the kids' friends, because I said, well, they got power. They're the ones with authority. They're the one, I need to be good with them. But I recognized years later that was the leader in me latching on to leaders because there was something in me that was going to be different. And
Mhm.
that started very early in life. And you fast forward, I got a ministry at 12, started my first business when I was 12. And by the time I was 21, I built Denver, Colorado's largest Black-owned mortgage company there in the area. I don't know that anybody surpassed that since we built that years ago. And then early in my 20s, I planted a church from scratch with nothing, and which was amazing to see happen within itself. That's not something that I wanted to do. And you fast forward years later, we've seen over 12,000 professions of faith. And we've seen amazing things happen that both on the ministry side, the business side, and then just me as an individual. I live life as a student. So to me, every day I am in competition with yesterday's version of myself. So that's sort of the high level view. I'm sure we'll jump into a
Yeah.
little bit more, but that's the high
Well,
level view.
no, I'm so excited because, being a student, I mean, if we have that kind of mindset and that curiosity that we just want to get better. I mean, we
Yes.
just want to get better in life,
Yeah.
just whatever we're doing. So I know that I want to like pull out a few things. I
Yes.
know I didn't put it in your bio, but I know this podcast is like transforming from the inside out. So I'd love to share have you share your thoughts on how you were able to transform your body? Because we mentioned I've seen it before, is like, oh, you've lost a lot of weight
Right.
over the years. And so
Right.
how does that, how'd you do it
Yep.
for listeners? And then how
Yep.
did it transform your mind as well?
Oh, such a good point. I think a few things. One, So I had just being in a seat, of a CEO type seat since a kid. You begin to develop habits, and some of those habits are just bad eating, and that was one of my habits. I didn't realize I had become an emotional eater. I ate when I was happy. I ate when I was sad. Eating was the one thing in the world of where, as a leader, sometimes people confuse themselves into thinking that they're in control, and you're not really in control. I think control often is an illusion. And so that was the one thing that I could control, so I thought. And so I had ballooned up to about 250 pounds. I'm a 5'9". Now, look, I carried it like a middle linebacker, so it didn't look horrible. It just looked like he's supposed to be out on the field somewhere, blocking or knocking somebody down. And so I remembered I tried everything, slim slow, slim fast. I tried everything because I recognized that I could be healthier. I wasn't my best.
Mhm.
And so I tried lots of things. Lots of things didn't work for me. And so then I began to say, all right, we got to do something different. And believe it or not, we were on a 21-day what's called Daniel fast, which is just basically fruits and vegetables. And during that 21 days, I actually prayed. I said, "Okay, God, you got to give me a strategy because I've tried everything and nothing has worked for me." And I think one of the great things about being a student is that you don't get mad or even frustrated when other things don't work for you. You just realize I got to find something else that works.
Mhm.
So I'm
Yeah.
not thinking like an expert, I'm thinking like a student.
Yeah.
And so I got a strategy. It was the divine strategy because I watched a documentary on Netflix that I have not been able to find since then. It was 2013. Have not been able to find it in 12 years. So when people say, "What was the documentary?" I can't find it. I don't know. Maybe it was just on there for that day that I needed it. But it changed how I began to eat. Lost the first 75 pounds, all natural, just in diet. And I didn't even know that I had shed the weight until I've been pretty casual that year in terms of my attire. And so, when you're in jeans a lot, and sweats and stuff like that. Sometimes you just don't pay
Yeah.
attention to the
Yeah.
changes in your body, and I didn't. Another podcast host said, "You got to be joking. You lost 75 pounds and didn't notice it." I didn't. I went up to Vail. I was speaking at a leadership event, and it was a formal event. So my assistant was with me. Had my suit and what have you ready to go. I put my suit on. It's hanging off my body, and I literally say to him, "This is not my suit. Like, whose suit is this?" He said, "Sir, this is your suit." I said, "This is not my suit. Look at it. It's hanging off of me. Like the belt doesn't fit. My pants, like suit pants that are sagging down, is not a good look. Like this is not Bishop Foreman's
Yeah.
brand. This is not on brand." And I still have a picture of that day. I had him take a picture when I was speaking that day, and you can see everything hanging off of me. Lost the first 75 pounds. I didn't have a scale because I had been so disappointed before. So I
Mhm.
was like, I don't even want to know what's going on. And,
Yeah.
I don't even, I know I feel better, but I don't even want to know any other details. Long story short, head home, get a scale on the way home from the mountains there in Vail, head back to Denver. And I look and I'm like, whoa, you have lost 75 pounds. And then a couple months later, an additional 20 pounds. Now the total fat loss is over 120, close to 130 pounds.
Wow.
Um, at the time when I originally did it, it was just changing my diet, which
Mhm.
taught me a powerful principle. You often hear trainers say you can't out-train a bad diet, but I
Yeah.
think the same is true for life, is that you can't outlearn bad thinking. You can't outlearn bad things that you choose to dwell on, choose to take
Mhm.
in. It's like trying to get healed from while staying in the same environments that make you toxic
Yeah.
and that make
Yeah.
you ill. And so as a result of that, that was that story. That's that journey. So I'm still on that journey. I set a new goal every few months, and
Mhm.
so I'm still on that journey. So now these days, when most people see me, I am asked, either they know who I am, and they'll stop Bishop Foreman, which is such an honor. I love that. Or number two, they will look and they will say, "Are you a coach? Are you a trainer? Can you coach me? Can you train me?" No joke. Last week I'm at the restaurant with my family. This Sunday, in fact, at brunch with my mother and grandmother. And the gentleman comes up and he says, "I just need." He doesn't. He's Brazil. I believe he speaks Spanish, and so he didn't speak very much English. And so he says, "I need you to be my trainer. I need you to be your coach, your trainer." And so anyway, it's really crazy that years ago I needed one, and now everybody wants me to be theirs.
Hey, that's awesome. Awesome. Because we evolve. We evolve over
Yes,
time. And,
yes,
we do. Sometimes we just need, whatever we hear something, we read something, that just inspires us, goes like, oh, it's the light bulb moment that, it clicks in us. Whether that
right,
documentary, that document that you had seen, it was like, oh, yeah, it would be great to be able to find it again and inspire other people, maybe.
right,
But
right.
that was probably just for you.
Right.
That
Yeah. I really believe that. I mean, because I was like, I can't find it. I couldn't find it weeks later. So I said, I don't know what happened, but this is divine. This
Yeah.
documentary changed the way I view food. It changed the way that I viewed, I was a fast food connoisseur. You tell me the restaurant because of how my schedule went. You tell me the restaurant, I can tell you the meal. If it was Burger King, give me the number six, chop it in half, add extra onions, add extra mayo, mix the fries and rings together. And I felt good because I said, give me a diet,
Yeah.
diet. But then it was Coke Zero. So
Oh,
then I said, give me a Coke Zero with it because, that had a little bit better taste.
yeah. Yeah.
It was just so amazing how that information changed everything. And I think
Mhm.
sometimes we look at change as this big gargantuan burning bush moment of that, and sometimes it's a lot of little ahas that
Mhm.
create big evolutionary transformation. And I love how you use that word evolve because that's such a powerful word.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more because it's like how can people evolve? A lot of times, I'm a learner, so it just comes naturally.
Mhm, mhm.
Sometimes just like, you talked about, well, I got to figure it out a different way. This
Right.
isn't working, so I'm going to figure out a different way. You know, how can people evolve and kind of use that word? Because sometimes we get stuck on words. So maybe evolve is a word that will resonate with some people
Right.
that when they're stuck, they can like move forward.
Yeah, yeah. I did a whole book on it called Evolutionaries because I became infatuated and still am with that word evolve and evolution. And, when people hear that word, they'll think of a variety of different things. The
Mhm.
best example of evolution to me is the butterfly
Mm,
because the butterfly has four stages in its life cycle. We are familiar with it in its final stage, but
mhm,
most people are not familiar that that's not how it starts.
mhm,
So, principle one is the way you start is not the way you start, or the way you finish is not the way you start,
mhm,
which I think is so powerful because sometimes people can say, well, how am I supposed to get to there from
mhm,
here? That's a process, and that process is something that you can't avoid. It's something that you have to walk through. So I used to be the type of person that was always infatuated with the destination, and I learned to love the journey
mhm,
because the journey is always going to be something that's consistent. It's always going to be, you're always evolving into something. And when you learn to love the journey, you learn to enjoy the journey. Like some people put their lives on hold as soon as that's done, as soon as that's done, as soon as I accomplish
yeah,
that, as soon as I
yeah,
accomplish
yeah.
that. And this delayed gratification, by the time you're ready to enjoy everything, you're out of energy, you're out of zeal, you're out of passion,
Mhm,
and the sun is setting, and I had to learn you better enjoy it while you're in it. Like enjoy this journey, enjoy the mountains, enjoy the valleys, enjoy the laughter, enjoy the shouts, enjoy the sadness. Like this is your journey, enjoy it.
mhm,
And it starts as that butterfly starts as small as a sesame seed on a sesame seed bun. That's how it starts. It eats itself out of that shell and grows to upwards of 100 times its original size and gets to stage two, which is where we're familiar with the caterpillar.
mhm,
It's walking now. It's on the ground, and it doesn't have wings. It looks nothing like what it's about to become.
mhm,
Stage three is the crazy stage because it's what's known as the chrysalis or cocoon. And it literally is isolated and insulated from the outside world, locked in by itself,
mhm,
and from the inside out, all of these changes begin to happen. It's buried underground or behind the leaf, and it's as short as 2 weeks, as long as 2 years. Many scientists have drawn a correlation that the longer it's in that stage, the bigger the butterfly will be, which is really, really interesting
mhm.
because sometimes we can go through these periods of life that are like, this has been going on for a while.
Yeah,
This has been happening for a while. Like, what is this?
right.
And, but in that stage, it's growing things it didn't need in stage two. See, in stage two, it crawled. In stage four, it's going to fly. So
Mhm,
it's growing wings, it's growing strength. And out of that stage three, it literally has to bust out of that cocoon.
mhm,
And that struggle is necessary so that the wings have strength because they've never been used before.
yeah,
And so that even helped me to appreciate struggles and not see them as a negative thing.
yeah.
To really see them, struggle by definition means that I'm exerting effort. So if I'm struggling, it means I haven't lost. If
Mm,
I'm struggling, that means I haven't failed. If I'm
mhm,
struggling, that means that I'm actually prevailing. I'm actually winning. We've been taught to often think that struggle is a bad thing, but
yeah.
when you actually look at it, from a definition standpoint and an evolutionary standpoint, that struggle gives you the strength you need to succeed. And then stage four, that thing comes out flying, going 30 miles an hour, faster than a lot of people drive. And so, when I think of evolution, That is, to me, the best example. And that whole book, Evolutionaries, was about unlocking the you that's in you, because there's another you that's in you that has to go through those four stages to become.
Yes. Oh, that is so beautiful. I mean, I've heard the whole story of the butterfly,
Right.
and going through all that.
Right.
But how you presented it is like, wow, we have to like look at life, every
Mhm.
part of it as
Mhm.
a learning opportunity, like
Absolutely.
to get better, to evolve. Like
Absolutely.
those struggles, we do want to like we don't want to stick in them very long. People
No.
question it a lot. It was like, I want the easy way.
Yep.
The easy way is not going to give us those wings to be able to fly. And there's
Correct.
so many, those butterflies are so much more beautiful than
Right.
the caterpillar. Like,
Absolutely. And you know what I love about what you just said too is it won't give us the wings. Worse yet, you have the wings, but you can't use them because you don't have the strength.
yeah.
And I think that's the culture we live in, where a lot of people get frustrated. Like, I know there's more. You
Mhm.
got those wings, there's just no strength. I know there's something greater. You got those wings, but there's no strength. And it is that struggle that gives you that strength. And so I say to every person that's listening, it's like, man, I'm going to struggle in this area, struggle in this area, struggle in that area.
Mhm.
That's one of the best areas to be. It's a perfect time to be you. It's a good time to be you. And it's a good time to be in that place, because that mindset shift helps you change from the inside out.
Right.
Every struggle that I've ever encountered, every struggle that I may be in now, it is always giving me the strength for what I was going to do. And you didn't think you needed it because you were crawling in stage two. You never knew you were going to fly.
Yeah. How do you know what the world's going to look like when you stand up and fly?
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very different than when you were crawling on the ground. Now you're looking down at the thing you were once crawling in.
Yeah. Such a different perspective. And that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Somehow, sometimes people get stuck and they're like, and we say that there's a great mindset shift. We want to get into that mindset shift of becoming that beautiful butterfly. But what are some things that you found, in dealing with a lot of people is that what kind of limits them? What kind of keeps them in that cocoon, if we want to keep that analogy going?
Sure. You know what? I'd say three things. Number one, bad mindsets. Back to what I was saying earlier, you can't out train a bad diet. Mindsets are often fueled by what we're paying attention to, what
Mhm.
we read, what we view, what we study. That's why podcasts like what you do are so amazing, because it gives people an opportunity to eat different. And when you eat different, you can see different. When you eat
Mhm.
different, you
Mhm.
can live different. You
Mhm.
can't out train a bad diet. So if you're listening to the bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news all day, that's
Yeah.
why I mentioned to you, I love the concept positive solutions, because
Mhm.
there's lots of solutions being offered, but they're not necessarily positive,
Yeah.
right? And so to me, one, the mindset shifts, negaholism, as we would call it, where you're addicted to being negative,
Mhm.
is often many people's mindset. And that keeps you stuck in that cocoon, because you begin to say things like this: life, why is this happening to me?
Mhm.
Versus, how is this happening for me?
Right.
You can begin to have paranoia versus the antithesis, pronoia, which says that instead of believing there's a conspiracy against me, I choose to believe there's a conspiracy for me. Like everything in the world is working together for my good. And when you view life that way, you'll even take the bad, flip that thing and say, but this was actually really good. I'm so glad
Mhm.
that I got fired. I'm so glad. And most people look at that and say,
Yeah.
but when you
Yeah.
shift that mindset, it's like, had that not happened, I
Yeah.
would have never taken the time to start the business,
Yeah.
to go back to school, to do whatever it might be. So one, I think mindsets. Number two, I think that one of the things that keeps people stuck in that cocoon stage is when you don't have any type of circle around you that is reinforcing the positive things that you're learning, the positive things that are happening. It's interesting that the butterfly is by itself in that stage three process. We
Mhm.
have the benefit of in the world of social media, where we can be virtually connected to anybody across America, around the world.
Yeah.
And what I've learned is that one of the best things to have, it's therapeutic, for me, is a circle of people. There's this biblical scripture that says iron sharpens iron.
Mhm.
You need some people around you that can sharpen you. Some
Yeah.
people around you that when you're having a down moment, and let me be the first to say, right? I have down moments. People
Mhm.
always say, Bishop Foreman, your energy is always so high. Sure, it is. But there are moments where I'm like, right? So I gotta have people around me that when I'm having a moment, They can say, okay, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I hear what's going on. But now let's get back up. Let's keep it moving. Let's move to the next thing. So I think you don't need a big circle. You don't need a huge group of people around you, but you need someone that you can speak to and that they can see you in your Clark Kent and your Superman and
Yeah.
respect both.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's so important. Sometimes we only want to show people our Superman,
Mhm.
but that's not who we are all the time. You
Right.
have to have environments where you can show your Clark Kent and those people respect both of those versions of
Mhm.
you.
Yeah.
And finally, I would say this addiction to information is with no implementation. Some people are really good. I love what we talked about being a learner, being a student. Some people, though, they are only students. They never actually do anything.
Yeah.
They're always learning, but never acting.
Mhm.
Always, ideas are easy, implementation is difficult. Getting excited is easy, execution is difficult. So, what I've learned is for everything I learn, I have to immediately go do it.
Mm.
Because if I sit on it and wait on it, it just becomes this information constipation that never ever leads to transformation.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That needs to be in a quote and written all over, doesn't it?
Yeah, right, right,
Yeah.
right.
What I mean, yeah, because we do. And I mean, I'd love to learn and I fall into those traps as well as like
Mhm,
there's so much there. It's
mhm,
information overload. We're
mhm,
consuming and stuffing and consuming and stuffing all of this stuff
mhm.
in. But then it's just like, how does it apply?
Right.
Like, how do people just like I need to I at least for me, I need to like go, okay, do I need this right now?
Yep.
How
Yep.
can I use it right now? If not, like, how do I like save it for later? Or
Yep.
does it not apply to me? You know?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
how to like take the information instead of keep stuffing it in,
Right.
like all this food, if we want to go back to
Right.
that, like, and then we're like
Right.
not ourselves because we're so screwed up on like what are we supposed to think? I'm
Right.
supposed to do this.
Right. Right. And that to me, I think the simplest way for me, and I know what works for me, and everybody's different. What works for me is I have to instantly execute. If I learn it at 10:33, I need to be doing it at 10:43. I gave myself 5 minutes to plan how I'm going to implement it and another 5 minutes to do it. And the reason for that is I look back to my weight loss, which you made
Mhm.
reference to. I watched that documentary on a Sunday night. I implemented it on a Monday night morning. I
Mhm.
made the decision that Sunday night. And so some of those simple changes I made. I did a whole masterclass about it. But one, I stopped eating fast food. Two, I stopped eating after 6. And this is before intermittent fasting was a thing. To
Yeah.
me, I'd never even heard that phrase until recent years. Stopped eating after 6. I recognized that I was living to eat instead of eating to live. So I stopped seeing it as something pleasurable and saw it as something necessary.
Mhm.
I saw that on a Sunday night. I did it on a Monday morning. I have not looked back since. Since 2013, I've only eaten fast food twice. And the first time was the vice chairman of my board of directors said, "You have to try a particular burger spot." And I said, "Are you sure it's going to be worth it? Because I don't do this fast food anymore." I had that burger and I was so angry with him. I said, "This was not worth me going to this fast food joint." The second time, I was told by someone, "You have to try these grilled nuggets from this particular, chicken restaurant." And I said, "All right, I will try those." And I will admit, now I did like those. Those were seasoned very well. But since then, it just became really clear. Once I instantly acted on it, I was able to codify it as a part of my life. And I
Mhm.
think for many, that's the key. Instantly do something with it. Even if
Mhm.
it's not all of it, do something.
Yeah.
Even for those listening today, like do something. Take a look at your circle and say, you know what? This friend, every time I talk to them, they encourage me. They help me to stay sharp. I'm going to make sure that once a day or once a week, we're going to have a phone call. Boom. Put it in the calendar. Text them right now. You
Mhm.
have to do something now so you codify it as a part of this evolving version of you. Because if not, you'll say, that was really good. I'm going to do something. And then next year, this same time, you're going to be in the same spot in the same place because you didn't do something.
Right.
And I think that's so important.
Yeah, taking action. So what I'm hearing is like you learned something, it says, okay, that resonates with you, do
Yep.
it.
Do
Like
it.
go take action
Yep.
because then the learning process is does this work for me or not? Just like,
Right.
okay, I'm gonna try this restaurant, I'm gonna try this fast food, I'm gonna try this burger.
Yeah.
Nope, not gonna work for me.
Right.
But we
Yep.
have to take, otherwise we can kind of just sit and spin in our heads.
Amen.
Is
Oh
this going
God.
to work? Is this not going to work? What is it? Is this a better way? Is this not, we
Yep.
we can take up a lot of energy just doing
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying. I watched a video a few months ago, and it talked about how sometimes smart people are sometimes people who don't succeed, and it was a really interesting postulation, and many are probably familiar with it. It was interesting to me because essentially said smart people spend so much time finding why something may not be able to work, talking themselves in, over analyzing,
Mhm.
that sometimes their intelligence can work against them because instead of doing it, they are dissecting it.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
are tearing it apart. They are over analyzing it.
Yeah.
And while the other guy, or other lady, other gal, other guy, they've already done it and they're already seeing it work. And while you're still analyzing it, they've already made five mistakes and are getting some value from it. And that taught me a lot because sometimes we can become very risk averse and we don't even realize we're doing it with ourselves.
Mhm.
I don't know if I want to try this thing now. I don't know. Being negative has been working for me, it seems, right? Of course, that's not true. But, I don't know if I want to try this thing yet. I don't know. Let me think about that. While you're thinking about it, somebody else that's watching right now has already done it. They've already set up their weekly call. They've already started, taking some of these principles. They've already started doing it. While they're listening, they're doing, and
Mhm.
it's going to work for them. And I just think that to me, the biggest takeaway was be a person of action. Don't
Mhm.
worry about doing perfect action. Just be a perfect person of action.
Yeah, because that isn't that action we learn. And
Yes.
so I feel like I read something the other day or heard something the other day about like a lot of times we think failure is really a negative thing. But
Mm-hmm.
we're trying stuff and we're trying to figure out
Mm-hmm.
what it is that's going to be successful. So we're just
Right.
like, hey, I'm just another successful learning
Yep.
opportunity. And
Yes.
so it's just a little bit of a shift
Yep.
in the energy and in how we view something can really
Yes.
make a difference because the more times we try something,
Yep.
the better we're going to end up being.
Yep.
Because if you only try something one
Yep.
time
Yep.
and don't try anything again for
Yep.
another week or two,
Yep.
we're not learning, we're not growing, we're not evolving.
Right. And I think the beauty of something not working is that it takes away the fear of failure.
Yeah.
I think sometimes people fear failure so much, and well, I don't want to. What happens if it doesn't work? I'll do something else.
Yeah.
What happens if it doesn't work? I'll do something else. And I think the best ingredient to get rid of a fear of failure is failure. It's kind of like chicken pox. Once you've had it, can't have it again. Once I've gotten over the fear of failure, I'm not scared by it anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not frightened by it anymore. I look back at my own life, and my first book is called Making Money Moves: The Art of Getting Your Finances in Order. I wrote that book after having built a very successful business, watching that entire industry collapse. And literally, I prayed a prayer. I said, God, if you help me get through this, I'll write a book to teach everybody else how to do it. And so everything I learned through that journey, I put in that book. There was a blizzard in Denver. And for 3 days, I just banged out this book, sitting
Yeah.
at my laptop,
Yeah.
because we had nothing else to do. As a blizzard, couldn't go anywhere. Of course, I'm in Atlanta now. Hopefully, there's no blizzards here. But nonetheless, um, built that book all from a series of failures. I would have done this different, this different, this different. And that taught me that I was able, number one, to survive failure. Number two, I was able to thrive from failure
Mm.
because then I was able to take what I learned and build back bigger, better, stronger than ever before. And so to me, that principle is something I live by. And that keeps you alive. It keeps you youthful. It keeps you energized because you're not afraid of it. It's an adventure. And I think many people have lost their sense of adventure for life
Mhm.
because they've shifted from being a student to feeling like I'm an expert now. I'm in my 40s, my 50s, my 60s, my 70s, my 80s, but I'm an expert now. And I'm too young, I'm too old to be doing that. Stop that. You
Yeah.
are not too old. You are just right. If you got a pulse, there's still a plan.
Oh, yeah, there is because there's just more to live for. There's more
Yes.
to see. There's so much out there. And you can be an example for somebody else and not just
Yes.
sit around and like let life
Yes.
just pass you by. Like
Yes.
there's so much out there. There's so much to do. And I really feel like the energy comes from that, like
Hmm.
you are just, bubbling with energy and stuff when you're actually doing something.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you're
So
moving.
true.
You're
So
moving.
true. I completely agree. And that's why I think my energy, people always talk about that. My energy is always high because I'm always moving.
Yeah.
And I realized it's difficult for enemies to hit moving targets. And so I always move, I always keep it moving. It's difficult for depression to hit a moving
Yeah.
target. It's difficult
Yeah.
for anxiety to hit a moving target. And it's not to oversimplify some of those issues. So don't, I hope no one hears it as that way. But my point is that sometimes it's in your movement that you keep your momentum. And
Mhm.
it's just because of that that you're able to, escape some of the enemies that we all face on a daily basis.
Yeah, yeah. Because wellness and stuff, there's always this like, if you stop moving, you're dead. I mean, really.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
and so when we're not moving, we're inviting just not some good things to sit
Hmm.
around and,
Hmm.
you know, inside of
Hmm.
us. So just look, get us moving and get it
Yeah.
out. And so it's not.
Yeah. I love that.
Well, I love our conversation today, and I know I just feel like we could go on for hours, but I know there's so
Yes. No,
many to
listen, I
talk
love it.
about.
I knew that instantly that was going to happen. I knew that.
I know. It happens a lot, and so it's good. But as we wrap up, is there anything that you've left that's not unsaid that maybe you feel like the listeners need to hear, or if there's a quote or something that you would like to leave them with?
I made reference to it, but I'll go back to it again. And you just said it. If you're not moving, you're dying. And I think recognizing if you still have a pulse, there's still a plan for your life, and there's more to do.
Yeah.
Life's not over. Your best days are not behind you. Your best victories aren't behind you. Your best accomplishments aren't behind you. They are here and they are ahead of you. And I think taking that mentality will give you hope. Now, from that hope, I got to use the principles we talked about: being a student, being a person that's evolving, being a person that grows, being a person of action. So, my challenge is do one thing that you heard today.
Mm.
Do one thing. Do one thing. And when you do that one thing and you see results from it, it's going to inspire you and encourage you to do the next thing. I don't care if you are fledgling. I don't care if you just got laid off. I don't care if you're a multimillionaire, billionaire. I, Regardless of where you're at in the journey of life and where you're at in your individual journey, do one thing. And when you do that thing and you're a person of action, that literally is going to shift your mind, shift your life, and literally you will constantly be on this evolutionary journey and practice. And so that would be the thing I would say to everybody is do something and that you heard today and
Awesome.
watch it work.
Yes, yes. Take action, take
Yep.
one little thing.
Yep.
So listeners are like, yes, I love, can I get any more information about Bishop Foreman? Where can they find out about you?
Absolutely. BishopForeman.com is the simplest and easy way. Foreman.com. And all the social media. In fact, I would love if you watch this, if you heard this, shoot me a DM. Now, full disclosure, I get probably 300 to 400 messages on Instagram a day, but I do my best to respond. I'd love to know if something from this episode
Yeah.
spoke to you, encouraged you, built you up. But on all the socials, it's at Bishop Foreman. Look for the blue check on all of them. I say that because on TikTok, there's like 100 fake profiles of me. So I gotta say that because sometimes people will say, "Oh, we've been talking." I'll meet people out somewhere. They say, "Oh, I've been talking to you on TikTok." Like that wasn't me. That's probably the pages. So, but nonetheless, on social at Bishop Foreman, my books, messages, reels. I do these daily reels that encourage people, daily lives to encourage people, giving you real practical things to really help you change from the inside out and really giving you solutions. And so, again, thank you for having me. Big salute to you for what you do. Sometimes conversations lead to massive transformation. My biggest transformations in life happen from simple
Oh,
conversations.
yes.
So, thank you for doing what you do because only eternity will tell the lives that one of your episodes and
Right.
how it impacted them. And it gave them one little nugget, one little piece of information. But here's what I've learned: big doors swing on small hinges. And so I believe you're giving people the hinges they need to open the doors to the best version of
Well,
themselves.
thank
So
you.
thank you for
Thank
what you
you.
did.
We're both doing a ripple effect that we would love to just drop a little bit of knowledge somewhere and let the ripples
Yep.
flow. So
Yep. Yep.
thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.